Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm back. And I know a couple things came out this week. You know, we got the side chick talking. She done came out the bushes on niggas, okay? We're gonna touch on her ass over here. We're gonna talk about a couple things. Because people still have concerns about this whole confession that Quanell got from Derion. So yeah, we're gonna talk about a couple things. So let's get into this shit. Ride with me. So yeah, we're gonna start with these text messages because that's where we left off in the last video. And remember, I was telling y'all, like, the conversation, like, it didn't seem like it was flowing right, you know. And I reached out to a couple of my Apple heads. I call them Apple heads and shit, but I don't do Apple. I still got an Android. Fuck it, don't judge me. So I reached out to a couple of my Apple heads, and I got like conflicting information. So I went on and just called Apple. Fuck it. And my question was whether or not you can add or delete text. And what I found out was that you can delete text with Apple, through Apple. Like my Android phone, I can't do that shit. Okay. But with Apple, you can. And I was like, oh, okay, well, now that makes sense to me. Because when we see this conversation right here, like it didn't flow right. The timestamps are there, but it didn't flow right. So again, I found out that you can delete these motherfucking texts. So some texts were deleted for whatever reason. Okay. As far as adding text, I was told that with Apple or through Apple, you cannot add text. Now, I don't know if there's like an app that you can get to do this, but as far as Apple goes, you can't. You can't add text. Okay. And not only that, you cannot change the date. You can't change the date on it. You can delete some shit out the conversation, but you can't change the date. So one of the things that I wanted to point out again in these text messages was, Darian talking about he was headed to the emergency room, and that came in at 10:40 a.m. And in my opinion, it was April 29th, but I know for sure it's not April the 30th. Okay, he said that he's going to the emergency room, but then so we got that at 10:40 a.m. But then when him and Brittany start to discuss like what's wrong with him, what the doctor said, and he's talking about my blood pressure's high, like I gotta go see my doctor. So and all this is being said at about 3:40, yeah, 3:43 to about 3:46 on April the 30th, when Brittany's supposed to be en route to Massachusetts. Okay. So my question was, because I don't know if this nigga went to the emergency room or not. I'm gonna show y'all something though, but I don't know if he went or not. But my question was, why the fuck are y'all just now discussing the results of the emergency room visit the day after? Okay, so if your man told you he was going to the hospital, let's say April 29th on Monday, and there's no more text between y'all, like at some point, either when he got home, whether you went to the emergency room, met his ass there, or when he got home, you, in my mind, would have discussed the visit. So why are they just now talking about the results April the 30th between what 3:43 and 3:46 in the afternoon? I mean, there's a gap there. Like I don't know if I'm overthinking this shit or not. Y'all let me know if I'm tripping. But I don't understand how it was said that you was going to the emergency room on the 29th, but y'all not discussing the results of that shit until April the 30th. So what happened in between? You understand what I'm saying? What happened in between? Did she not see him? What happened? Now, these right here are text messages that were supposedly exchanged between Brittany and that girl Quadria, I believe is her name. And in this text, the Quadria girl asked her if if was there confirmation if Derion ever went to the ER, and what was that package that was for Maleah. And I'm kind of glad she asked that. But Brittany's response was, as far as the emergency room goes, that law enforcement verifies if he went to the hospital, and he didn't. Okay? Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what she said. And then y'all know when we were talking about that package, she ended up telling her that it was this wallpaper that y'all see right here. That's what that package was from Maleah. So, do we believe her? Y'all let me know. There's been so many lies and so many distractions in this case that it's unreal. You know, um, especially with that whole gay shit. Brittany let Quanell come out and tell us that, you know, Derion was sending naked pics to a man, so everybody's insinuating, okay, now he on some gay shit. You know what I mean? Until this girl popped up.
Well, I know Derion isn't gay. For a fact, he puts females' numbers under guys' numbers so Brittany won't find them. I told Derion, I said, you've got my number, put it under a guy's number so Brittany doesn't know it's me.
I don't know about y'all, but when I first seen that interview, like, my mouth dropped. And I'm like, who the fuck is she and where the hell did she come from? You understand what I mean? Like, what's her purpose? Now, I get this whole, you know, them trying to make us think, oh, he on some gay shit. I don't know if this was to try to clear Darion's name as far as that gay shit go or what. But she came out the bushes on niggas. Didn't she? You know what I mean? And then, not only that, she got to talk about, she done told Derion, like, well, you got my number. Like, put my number up under some guy's number so Brittany don't know it's me. That within itself tell me a whole lot about her. Who does that? You understand what I mean? Like, that told me a lot about her. But, that's a whole nother situation. But needless to say, she should have stayed her ass in the bushes. She's a distraction. She don't know shit. I don't give a fuck how many letters she wrote Derion back and forth. Trust and believe she don't know shit. You know what I mean? Now, if they tried to tell me like, oh, well, she had something to do with the murder, okay, if that was the case, then yeah, I listen to this bitch. But she ain't got shit to do with nothing, man. She don't know nothing. We need to stay focused. She's a distraction out here. Hell, some of the distractions came from Brittany's own family. Y'all remember her? The half sister, Natasha. Like when she did that first interview with Tanika, I was tuned in. I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear what she had to say. But y'all know me. I watch how people move. And it was like after she did that interview, she was on the move, man. She was doing all kind of interviews and reaching out to people. Like, she started to move real funny to me. And then, I know y'all familiar with Kokia. She then reached out to Kokia, and now, we all see how passionate Kokia is about this case. That's why I ride with her. She out there on the front line. If I was down in Houston, I would be it would be the same thing. I'm out here on the front line. But just because we're not down there with them don't mean we can't help get justice for Maleah. But at the end of the day, when Kokia came up with those plane tickets, Natasha backed out of that shit. And I think Kokia just called her bluff on that shit. And understand this, Natasha wasn't about to go to Houston and get no more information out of Brittany than the motherfucking police did. Simple. Brittany didn't know her like that. They were estranged sisters. It wasn't like that. Brittany probably wasn't even fucking with her for real. She wasn't about to come up here and get no more information out of Brittany. Simple. Frauds, man. Frauds. So, let's keep on moving. And now, like, even with Quanell X, You know, after he got that confession, that motherfucker was on the move. You hear me? He was doing all kind of news interviews. He all on YouTube doing interviews. That nigga wanted to make it known that he got the confession. You understand what I mean? And when people start moving like that, it make me feel some kind of way. You understand what I mean? And like, I know for me and like so many others, I wasn't worried about how he got the confession. I was just, my point was, Maleah was able to come home. You understand what I'm saying? Fuck how he got it. And that's where I was at with it, you know? But damn near every video that I've done since the confession, I mentioned this shit right here.
I met with him for about 30 minutes. My first and only meeting. My first and only meeting. We met for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes. Y'all know. I was stuck on that. How the hell did he get a confession in 30 motherfucking minutes? He was in and out, wasn't he? So understand this. I've watched hours upon hours of like interrogation videos. Like I've been doing this kind of shit long before YouTube. And the only time I seen a motherfucker confess and within the hour is motherfuckers where the investigators and the detectives, they went in there, they already had the facts. They already knew what it was. Like wasn't no denying it. They were so solid with their shit that it wasn't no denying that you guilty. Motherfucker break down like, yeah. Then they want to explain why they did it. You understand what I mean? Like I've seen it. So I couldn't understand how the fuck he only went in there for 30 minutes and got a confession out of Derion. But y'all know that this inmate then came out like talking about he spoke with the investigator days before this confession, telling them that he knew where the body was, he knew the story. You understand what I mean? He met with the investigators days before Quanell called himself getting his confession. Right? And I'm like, okay. Then, you know, I got to thinking about when the workers out there in Arkansas found that bag. They called their supervisor. Their supervisor like, nah, leave it there. Like, what the fuck? Like, you the supervisor and you telling these motherfuckers not to do their job? We should have been found Maleah, man. But like, if if this story is true and this inmate came out days before this confession, I mean, it makes me look at Quanell kind of different because, like, I don't know if y'all heard that interview that he did on 979 The Box, but listen to this part of it.
So when does Quanell X enter into the picture being able to speak to Vence? Was a family member asking you to speak to them, or did you just say, I'm gonna just see if I can get this guy to talk to me one-on-one candidly about young Maleah's situation?
Uh, Brother, there was a source inside the jail, a brother who I've known for years from the street, who's got in contact with me through a third person and said, you need to come speak to this cat because he is saying that he would like to speak to you. He told me that early in the week. I kind of just, okay, I hear these things all the time. But when it comes from a brother like that, well, then I know he's credible. There's some truth behind it.
Yeah. Quanell just told us that days prior to him getting his confession that somebody called his ass from the jail. You know what I mean? Talking about somebody wanted to speak to him. Like, for all we know, he was given the information then, where she was, what happened. He was given the information then. I mean, that's a possibility because it goes back to that whole why the fuck it only took him 30 minutes to get a confession. And in my opinion, he went in there with straight facts. And whether Derion said yes or no to that shit, he was able to walk away from that jail and tell us Derion told him. Derion gave him that information. Y'all understand what I'm saying? But It could be a situation where the information didn't come from Derion. That information came from that motherfucker that called his ass from the jail. And that's probably why they want his fucking cell phone records. You understand what I mean? Like, otherwise, like, why would they need his cell phone records? But they subpoenaed Cornell shit too. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. This case, too many frauds came out the woodwork in this case. And he's another one. He's another one. So, yeah, I ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer. I'm on his ass. It is what it is. I'm still looking into some shit. But honestly, y'all, I'm waiting on the autopsy report. That's what I'm waiting on. So, ride with me. I'll be back.
This case had really gone cold because they were saying to the family, if we get a tip, if we get a lead, then we can go on something. But they knew no face, no murder case.
That's right.
They knew it. No face, no murder case. So the most Derion could face or would face was a tampering with the body charge.
Yep.
That possibly could not be proven in trial because there was still no body. How can you tamper with a body if it ain't no body?
Yes, sir.
So the charge was enough to hold him, but eventually wouldn't be enough to keep him.
I feel like they trying to set my son up, really.